Hello, and welcome to my presentation on motivation without authority. This presentation will focus on how to keep employees motivated without the ability to fall back on a rank or use authority to force it. During this presentation, we will explore what is motivation, the motivation cycle as described by Burke and Barron, a brief introduction to Herzberg's theory, a brief introduction to McClelland's theory, a brief introduction to Maslow's hierarchy of needs, and finally, the 7 rules of motivation as described for project managers in Burke and Barron. Motivation is defined as an inner force that inspires people to achieve their objectives. Many times the word motivation is misused and misunderstood in the project management field. This inner force is what drives us as human beings to learn, understand, and complete tasks that have been set out in front of us by either higher-ups or ourselves. A person's motivation can be broken down into an equation of performance equals ability times commitment. Ability is described as the personal qualities and competencies that an employee can bring to the project. Commitment is described as the willingness and drive of employees to complete their tasks. Motivation needs to be nurtured and cultivated by actions and support surrounding the employee. The motivation cycle is broken down into 7 parts: unsatisfied, tension, drive, behavior, goal, satisfied, relieved, and then back to unsatisfied. As the needs are either satisfied or unsatisfied, the cycle will still continue. Each time the cycle restarts, the need will either be new or a new behavior will be used to satisfy that need. It is vastly important to understand where the cycle of motivation lies within a team, and to understand what can affect that cycle. For example, if a team underperforms after news is given, focusing on what that news was and how the team affects it can drive motivation within the team. Herzberg was a consultant for AT&T who conducted research in 1959 and concluded, basically, that money and status are not directly motivating to all, but the lack of them can be demotivating. Herzberg worked to improve our understanding of the working people and the factors that determine satisfaction and dissatisfaction. Many motivating factors provide satisfaction, while hygiene factors will provide dissatisfaction if they are not present or broken. In the table presented, the x-axis indicates frequency with which the factor was reported causing high morale or a sense of grievance. The y-axis controls how high morale the factor is, and the depth of the box indicates the time the feeling lasted. As we see, money and conditions are not high on the list, but can affect the employee in both directions. McClelland in 1988 suggested that there are 3 types of motivation needs that are found in us all. As shown in the provided table, the 3 motivations are achievement, authority, and affiliation. Each of these breaking down further into seeks a definition of the motivation, expects what the employee is looking for from others for this motivation, and strengths and weaknesses for leadership, which details what the motivation can do in a leadership position. Each of these motivations is something that needs to be taken into account, even though they feel like common sense. Maslow created a hierarchy of needs in 1954 that we all subconsciously strive to complete. The triangle provided starts with food, drink, and other needs that are required for basic survival. Once these needs have been met, an individual can come to the next stage, and so on. Each stage moves further from the physical and closer to the self and how the employee interprets themselves. The priorities of each stage can lessen as the individual moves through them, finalizing at the self-actualization, which relates to the person's own self-fulfillment and self-realization, or be the best of the best. Our final slide introduces us to the 7 rules of motivation, specifically for project managers. The first rule is to set goals and to achieve them. As you achieve and as your employees achieve, they will be more motivated to keep winning. Finishing what you start is the second rule. While finishing is important, if you get into the habit of ignoring problems or items that are almost done, then you will begin to lose motivation as actions pile up. Rule 3 can be summed up as you become who you are surrounded by. If you are surrounded by winners, you'll grow into a winner. If not, 4 is a strong rule, as we can never forget how to learn and to know that we are always learning. Rule 5 puts us in the place that we need to be. It's no good if your gifted swimmer is in your 100-meter dash. Rule 6 compounds on Rule 5, and once they show interest, to keep that interest going by teaching more within the subject. The last rule is the one that is on almost every list. Take risks and understand that not everything will be good or turn out right every time. But if you don't take the risk, then you lose out on what could have been. Thank you for listening to my presentation, and I look forward to answering any questions that you may have in the comments below.